Hello, I'm Kathy Brewster, Professional Development Manager at Truckee Meadows Community College, with a quick tip for student success. In the next few minutes, you will learn techniques and ideas that you can use in your classroom. Thank you for watching.
Hi, I'm Micaela Rubalcava, Professor of Education at TMCC, and I'm here to talk to you about how to teach Millennium students. While Nevada has Millennium scholars, we also have Millennium Generation students, students born in the late 1980s and early 1990s. These are sometimes known as Generation Y students. About half of TMCC students are Millennium Generation or Generation Y students. What does this mean to you as an instructor? You may have seen the annual mindset list, which compiles facts about things that have not been a part of these students' experiences. Quote, "Where were you when you heard that John Lennon was assassinated?" End quote, is not a part of their world. They have never used a library catalog, email's a way of communication that's too slow, and phones have never had cords. Russians and Americans have always been living together in space. Some of the common characteristics of the Millennium Generation that impact them in the classroom are: they are tech savvy. They grew up with computers and relate to the world through technology. This characteristic can also lead to their tendency to be impatient and expect instant gratification and instant response from you. They grew up being told that they were special. For an instructor, this belief can sometimes lead to a false sense of entitlement. They're negotiators. No is not a final answer to them. They are efficient multitaskers, and they have short attention spans. Millennials are adaptable. They attribute this to their early entry into daycare, early team sports, doting parents who included the children in all types of activities. Whatever the reason, the Generation Yers believe they can get it done. Millennials are optimistic team players who follow rules and accept authority, especially parental authority. Gen Y parents have closely supervised their children, often overscheduling them and making sure that they're highly involved in activities, and thus making them more dependent on peers and parents than previous generations. Some literature refers to them as helicopter parents because they have been and still are constantly hovering over their children. As an instructor, how do you engage millennials in the classroom? While you may be used to students who work independently with little supervision, when teaching millennials, you may find success in allowing students to work in small cooperative peer groups on a task related to course readings. Instructors will also find most millennials are overwhelmed by large course projects with due dates far in the future. Breaking down projects into smaller parts with periodic due dates and frequent feedback will allow them a greater chance to succeed. Millennials are an active bunch who want to be able to see the practical, real-world applications of what they're learning in the classroom. Designing class projects that allow students to get out into the community and/or inviting guest speakers who use course concepts in their professions or day-to-day lives. Millennial students are more likely to learn and retain course material when they've been actively engaged with that material, whether inside or outside the classroom. This, of course, is a basic active learning strategy for any class, but it's especially relevant to your Generation Y students. Speaking of active learning strategies, incorporate physical activities and movement as part of your class. I have my classes stand up, switch places, and we even take mini campus field trips. I also include humanizing and social interaction, like deep listening exercises and art projects where students have to look into each other's eyes. As mentioned earlier, these students have self-confidence, so I find ways to tap into that, like having them design test questions in competitive teams. And finally, back to the tech-savvy point made earlier, these students are awash with computerized technology that will not distinguish information and knowledge, so it will be up to their instructors to help them. A generation accustomed to instant access will need to acquire the patience of scholarship. They will need to discover how to research information in books and journals, and not just online. Use the terrific TMCC librarians as active team members in your students' learning who hold the students accountable for doing research. I do not let my students out of that library visit without a ticket out document listing at least 5 peer-reviewed citation materials for their research papers. Instructors who might be tempted to think that they are hip enough and therefore ready and relevant to teach this new generation might remember that Kurt Cobain is now on the classic oldies station, along with Beatles and Bob Dylan. Our college classes remind us once again that a generation comes and goes in the blink of our eyes, and that times they are a-changin'. Millennials respond to personal attention, so beyond all, I use classroom activities that allow for one-on-one discussion. For example, while students collaborate in groups of 5, I will pull students out to talk one-on-one. Also, I circulate the room during lecture, taking advantage of pair and share pauses in lecture by personally looking over student notes to direct comprehensive note-taking. These are wonderful and energetic students who deserve our respect and attention. Please feel free to contact me if you have any questions about how to reach our Millennial Generation students. Thank you.